Hi, this is Wesley,
This is Ka'shenia.
and we would like to welcome you to the
The Underground Geek Shack. Wesley!
What up?
Wesley! I'm talking about the great beyond!
You're talking from the spiral force.
Oh no! Wait, we're not that far yet. Oh my god, Wesley, I'm so freaking excited. I'm so pumped, dude.
You're telling me.
Before we get on with how pumped I am and the reason why I'm pumped, Wes, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? Hold on, wait. I like to ask you something. Let's rewind that. Hey, Wes, I like to ask, wait, how does the phrase go? Dang it, Wesley.
Hey, you want to know something?
Thank you, Wesley.
No problem.
Hey, okay, back it up. Hey, Wes, do you want to know something?
Sure. What do I want to know?
Don't believe in yourself. Believe in me. Believe in the Kamina who believes in you.
Okay. I didn't know you turned into Kamina, so does that make me Simon?
Wesley, at least that means you get to live.
You too for 6 episodes.
I live for 8 episodes, and then after that,
you'll be good.
I'm freaking dead, bro.
You'll be good. You'll be good.
Stop!
Because you're always on my back. What you talking about?
So for those of you who can't tell by our freaking bantering, we're going to be talking about what would be considered one of the most greatest anime that has ever been made, which is, drumroll please, what is it, Wes?
Gurren Lagann.
Yeah! Okay, so before I continue on with my freaking hype train right now, I should have you know
that it's made by Studio Gainax.
Who turned in, some of the directors from Studio Gainax went on into Studio Trigger. And we saw how that goes. And you can see a lot of where Trigger picks up their influences. Yeah. It's really amazing when you watch this and you see how this, actually what's interesting is to see how much this is being, you see how much of future projects are being inspired by this, but you also get to see how Gurren Lagann was also inspired by Neon Genesis Evangelion. But before we get to that, let's just strictly talk about Gurren Lagann first, okay? So let's start this off. So we're talking about Gurren Lagann. We're gonna first talk about Gurren Lagann, and then we're gonna spread out into talking about its influences and what it has influenced. Yeah. So before we get into the specifics, Wes, how did you get into Gurren Lagann? Because I will tell you my experience as well.
Okay, so how did I get into Gurren Lagann? I was on Netflix at the when it was actually on Netflix.
Yeah, such a long freaking time ago,
right? So it was on Netflix, and I was just scrolling through, and I saw Gurren Lagann, and I was like, "What the heck is Gurren Lagann?" And so I clicked on it. And I was in for a wild ride, and I decided to just watch the entire thing. And this is my second time watching Gurren Lagann. The first time I watched it, I was completely inspired to do different things within stories that I've told you about. But I'm just like, oh my gosh, I am now inspired. And then it got to a point where I was at work one day, and one of my coworkers was kind of not having the greatest day. And so I looked at him and I said, "Don't worry, you got this." And they were like, "No, I don't." I said, "Don't believe in yourself. Believe in the me who believes in you." And they were like, "I like that."
It's really funny because I've heard that said in like different ways, like believe in a me that believes in you, but I hear it in like a joking kind of like sense. So it's really interesting to see where it actually came from. Right. Like I'm finally learning like its actual origins.
Right.
So that's your history with Gurren Lagann.
It sent me down an emotional roller coaster. I am not gonna lie. I did almost shed some. I did shed some tears. I'm not gonna lie. I did.
But so let me ask this other question, because I know that some people say that this is an absolute classic. You didn't watch this until years into your career of watching anime, right?
Yeah.
because you started watching that as a young wee lad. But so,
Right?
like, when you was younger, a lot younger, and this anime came out
This came out around 2007.
Yes, it came out in 2007.
Yeah. So around that time, I had no clue about Gurren Lagann.
Yeah,
I had no clue.
I didn't even know what a Lagann was.
What? I didn't even know. I didn't know about that. I didn't even know about studios like how I do now.
Yeah, like we are more well versed into this, and I have to say, so same as it was for you. I didn't get into this until really late. I would say when it comes to classics for me, an anime that's classic to me is Bo.
Yu-Gi-Oh,
Powerpuff Girls, Yu-Gi-Oh, Powerpuff Girls Z, Shugochara, and stuff like that. Like, those are my classics. Those are the ones that I started with. A lot of people, like, this is like a classic. This is a true classic, and it's actually, I'm really sad that it took me into now, as of this date, June 10th, 2023, years after this anime has been out, for me to actually get into this.
Right? Because I remember,
you know what?
I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
Because like I remember after the first time I watched Gurren Lagann, I was like, all right, I need someone to talk to about this. So I delved headfirst into anything I could get my hands on for Gurren Lagann. I was like, is there a video game I can play? Fun fact, there was actually a video game made for Gurren Lagann.
I could see that. Definitely.
And I was like,
this does lead into that.
I was like, I want anything Gurren Lagann related due to the fact I just finished watching the show.
Oh my god. I'm just Wes, just so this
and then I was like, I want to do an episode on this, and then it didn't take us till now to actually get the episode.
I know it took us until now, and I'm sad because it should have been earlier.
Right?
But I mean, there's so many good anime out there nowadays. But it's really good to go back to a classic, because let me tell you, this does have that early 2000s like feel to it. Well, actually, this is considered late 2000s, 2007 and stuff like that. Yeah. But let me tell you, Wesley, watching this brought back so many nostalgia points to me, because let me explain. The reuse of animations in the background, the transformation scene. Oh my god, when I saw a transformation scene, I was like, I haven't seen one of these in years. I mean, think about My Hero Academia or Tanjiro, Demon Slayer, and stuff that's coming out now. They don't have transformation scenes. They're just in their uniforms. Like,
the last transformation, like robot transformation that I've seen was Voltron.
Same. Voltron. And I'm not even just talking about robot transformation scenes, even magical girl scenes and stuff like that, where you always that traditional transformation scene that's used in every single episode.
Yeah.
Like with this, I can say, for like after it became established in like episode 4. Episode 3. Episode 3 was when the combined scene was established. Like, they used that in almost every episode up to before the time skip. And yes, there is a time skip in this anime, which is kind of interesting because this anime is short. It's only 27. Right.
Brotherly combining.
Yeah, I was like, I had to relook. I was like, what am I talking about? But yeah, it's just there's only 27 episodes to this.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting.
I'm kind of surprised though. I'm surprised because like is. Usually with most anime, if they split it into seasons, you would have season 1 be around like 12 to 13 episodes, and then season 2 is the continuation. Like, I mean, for now,
yeah,
like anime
that's now.
Like
that's how anime is now. Yeah. It's very common to see anime that's like 12 or 13 episodes, or in the case of My Hero Academia, an arc spans over 12 to 13 episodes. So, I mean, going back to when there weren't any arcs. So, this is back in the One Piece era, Naruto arcs fluctuate. You had some arcs that went on freaking 25 episodes. I mean, the tuning exams never ended when I was a child.
Right?
It
You had the
kept
tuning
going.
exams, you had the forced death, like, golly.
You had what's the one where he was known as like the demon killer or something like that?
Oh, you're talking about the bridge. You're talking about the bridge, the one with Zabuza.
Yeah, there he goes, Zabuza.
Yeah, the Zabuza arc. Yeah, I
That
remember
Zabuza
that one.
arc went on so long, it felt like, when I was a child. And it's just interesting because, back then they weren't thinking about, oh, okay, we have to hit the 12 episode mark.
Right.
This has to be wrapped up in 12 episodes. No, it was, we're going to go on for as long as we can milk this.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of miss that. I miss that, we really don't have to worry too much. Like, yes, this series had a budget, because I do believe this wasn't adapted from a manga. It was a passion project made by the director.
Yeah.
And one of the directors for this, actually, Hiroaki Tomita, was actually one of the directors that was on Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Nice.
And you could see a lot of like back and forth between the two, but I'm going to make later comparisons to that, because there's a whole thing that I would actually like to discuss about that between this and Ava.
Yeah.
So back to Gurren Lagann and the actual story.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we should probably focus on pre-time skip, and then we're gonna the second half of this episode we're gonna focus on post-time skip.
Yeah.
So pre-time skip era. Wes, how do we start? Who are the humans?
We start by digging.
We do.
We start by digging. We see our man. We see our boy Simon. Digging in Jiha Village.
Also, I should probably state this.
Oh yeah, we probably should
am.
This in the beginning.
Wesley watched this. I think both times you watched it in English dub, correct?
Yeah. Netflix had it in dub, so I watched it in dub, and then I watched it in dub with Hulu. So.
And for me, I watched this in the Japanese dub. So I'm going to do my best to try to match Wesley when it comes to the pronunciation of some names. Because how did they pronounce it in English, Wes? Simon's name?
Simon? Yeah, they just say
in Japanese, they don't have a C like sound like that. So it's a slight chi. So I'm doing my best not to call him Shimon. Shimon.
Because like when I think about it, right? And like, I'm thinking about like, how the voice actors would, when they're listening to the Japanese, how they say their name. Yeah. And so I think that's why they call him Simon. And so because they're trying their best to do their,
Yeah, say Simon and not Simon.
Yeah.
Simon sounds a lot better anyway.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, you're correct. Simon the digger.
Yeah.
Is digging.
Yeah, we see him dig, and then he's talking about he was talking about a lot. Like, why does he dig? Does he dig for the pig mole steaks? I mean, I would, but but he stumbles upon a face, and it's let's be honest, it's Lagann. But
he stumbles upon Lagann.
But before he ever gets call it Lagann, he stumbles upon the face. He runs into Kamina, and Kamina tells him, don't look all sad, because the girls were saying like, oh, Simon's ugly, Simon's disgusting. Well, these girls were weird.
They were so mean, and I was just kind of like, leave that boy alone. I'm gonna fight you, dude. Right? But we do start off with a cowardly Simon.
Yeah.
And then we're introduced to the most manliest of man. What is the man's name? This man, the myth, the freaking legend?
Kamina. The leader, the badass leader of Team Gurren.
Oh my god. Oh, Wesley, freaking as somebody
they're talking about me, they're talking about me. I'm sorry.
They're talking about me. So it's just okay. So as somebody who has not watched Gurren Lagann for so long, but hearing so much about it, Being introduced to Kamina is I was in awe of this man. First off, I was in awe of his stupidity and his brashness. But after getting to know him, I can then see why a lot of people consider him one of the greatest characters when it comes to anime. Because this man, he was able to rally a lot of people.
Right?
He rallied Simon, then he was able to rally Yuko. Then we got introduced to those who lived on the surface that fought against the Beastmen and the Gunmen. Then he was able to convince people to start stealing the Gunmen from the Beastmen.
Right.
So then we start having an actual rebellion. Starts off small. Then next thing you know, we get to that gargantuan level of armies at the fight of Templeton. Templin.
Yeah.
We get to the Battle of Templin.
You had everyone. You had Dayaka from Littner. You had almost everyone. You had Ron. You had you had Rossio. You had Rossio. You had freaking Gimme, and you had Dari from their village, because they worship the face god, which is basically just a gunman.
Yeah, it was just a gunman.
But they didn't know.
They didn't know. And you know what? This all started with the hopes and dreams and ambitions of one singular man, Kamina. Now, let me tell you my shock. And I know
we also can't forget about the black siblings.
Oh my God! Don't remind me of the black siblings. They cracked me up. And their mounts. Did you realize that the dogs were running backwards? I was lost. I was so lost. I was like, what? So Wesley, I have to say, when this character got built up and everything, I was like, yes, I can't wait to see. I was so shocked by how quickly the time with Kamina was spent.
Right.
Because I came into this thinking that Kamina, so I came into this knowing some spoiler points. I know towards the end of the season, we're getting to the point where our freaking mechs are throwing galaxies at each other.
Yeah.
I know that there's gargantuan battles and stuff like that. My thoughts, and I already knew that Kamina was going to die. I didn't think he would die that early.
Right? Neither did I. I legit, not joking around here. When I watched it for the first time and I saw Kamina bite it, I legit sat in my seat probably for a good 10 minutes and I just didn't say anything because I was that shocked. And then I started crying. And then I was like, and then it was funny because my brother asked me, he said, "Why are you crying over a fictional character?"
Oh my God.
But it was funny because I'm just like, I through those 8 episodes, I got attached to Kamina.
I did as well. I was really sad that he passed away, and you can tell what type of effect he left on people.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, even though he passed, there were people who were still trying to rally under his cause.
And the one thing I did like was that he told Simon that he said I can always bet you to have you are always the one that has my back, which is cool. And then before Kamina bites it, I like how he runs up to Simon and he tells him to open the hatch, and then he says, let me see you grit those teeth."
Oh my God.
Which we can take a lot. Like, we just taking that one sentence just means a lot too. Because in that you just have to just bear it and just continue on. I know it's rough, but we all got to do it.
We all have to continue on. And you know what is interesting? We've been going on for a minute about Kamina, and it makes it sound like, Kamina dying so early reminds you that this story is not about Kamina.
Yeah.
And Kamina even himself is like, the story is not about me.
Yeah.
It's Simon. He saw Simon and he saw his potential. Yes, Simon is scared. And we've seen that in pre-time skip, that Simon is he needed somebody to give him that push.
Yeah.
Kamina was the best damn teacher that ever existed. Because even though Kamina is so bombastic in everything that he does not leave out Simon.
Right?
Like, Kamina could have easily been that jerk character that was so full of himself. And at first, I thought he was going to be that. Then I saw how he actually really cared about Simon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no matter what, Simon was there. No,
yeah.
And I feel... I'm sorry. I'm about to cry because I'm thinking about freaking episode 8. It's
right.
just, it amazes me how such a complex character like this was created in like the early 2000s, before anime studios started really getting a knack for writing characters like this. Because let's think about other characters that came before this. Let's think, well, I don't know if Naruto came before this. Let's think about characters that came out around this time instead of before this.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at Naruto. Who is his mentor? He has a couple.
Yeah, he has a couple. Kakashi, we could obviously count as one. He has Jiraiya.
Isn't Iruka or Iruka?
Yeah, Iruka. Well, technically, Iruka would be his first.
Yeah, Iruka is his first mentor because he believed in him. You know, the covenant, believe in me that believes in you. But
that's just going to be a running thing throughout this episode, isn't it?
It is. And it's just, you know, we see his type of mentors, and you know, the thing that pushed them was that, the thing that pushed Naruto was that his village hated him because of what he became and stuff like that.
Well, because of what is now inside of Naruto.
Yeah, so because people thought little of him or hated him absolutely. Now compare this to Simon. He was only thought as like a great digger. Like the main chief was like, why can't anybody work like him? Because Simon was content with just digging.
Yeah.
He was content with staying with the status quo. Naruto wanted to become the status quo, but everyone hated him and he didn't know why.
Yeah.
In comes in his mentor who actually truly does care about him. And then here's...
Man. Now you're taking it back on memory lane.
I know, I'm sorry. It's just, this does that for me. Let's see. I'm trying to think of somebody who came out back then who had the attitude of Kamina, but it wasn't seen as like, Gohan?
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 Dragon Ball? Dragon Ball Z? I mean, if we think,
Dragon Ball more than me, so
like if we think about it and we put Kid Gohan in this situation, right? Because Gohan's mentor was Piccolo.
Yeah.
And Gohan was pretty weak. I'm not gonna lie. He was weak, but he had potential. We can see that
also
Piccolo threw him at a mountain.
From what I can remember, he also wasn't the brightest.
Who, Gohan?
I don't know if I remember this.
I mean, at first, I mean, Chi-Chi did want him to become a great scholar. So there's
Gohan.
that.
From what I can remember, isn't Goten the only one that's like super smart?
No, Gohan is smart. Goten, on the other hand, he a few screws loose.
Doesn't technically Goku have like 3 sons? No, he only has 2.
No, he only has 2. If you're going by, he has Gohan and Goten.
Okay,
those are the only 2. Where'd you get 3?
I don't know, Wesley. I don't know Dragon Ball. I thought
I'm like, wait a minute. Is there something that I don't know about?
But then I had to think about it. I was like, no, it's Goku, Gohan, and Goten. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Sorry, the only reason why I said Gohan that way is because I know this one scene where Gohan gets kidnapped or whatever. He's somewhere. He's in some enemy palace, and freaking what's the monk's name? I can't think of people's names right now. I know this is a side tangent, but so Goku and the human buddy, I forgot, the one who freaking smashes Android 16. Krillin.
Unless you're talking about Krillin, who got married to
Krillin. There we go. Krillin.
Who got married to Android 18, not 16.
Sorry, 18. Wesley,
You're good.
Number.
You're good. Look, go
I don't know. I'm telling you about this one scene that I know. The only scene that I truly remember from freaking back in the day, right? Mm-hmm. Freaking Goku and Krillin are in this like place, and they're like they ran into the enemies and stuff like that. They're looking around. Then you see a stream come down from on top, lands on Krillin. Krillin looks up, and it's freaking Gohan pissing from like a balcony or something. And I'm like, what? And then freaking Goku's like, Gohan?
I think that might have been a movie.
What? I'm so lost. I'm like, what is this show?
I think that might have been a movie.
I'm so sorry. I went off on such a side tangent. But yes, so, mentors back then, they just didn't give off the Kamina vibe.
Yeah.
In comes freaking Kamina.
Right.
Being the best freaking mentor there is. I think we've talked about Kamina enough because, in all honesty, Kamina in physical form plays a big role, but he's not with us for long because now let's start focusing on Team Gurren, or as he likes to call it, Daiger.
Well, first it was just Team Gurren, which at first it just only consisted of Kamina, Simon, and Yoko, and Ron. So 4 people.
Oh my god. I love Ron. Ron makes me chuckle so much. So, Team Daiger.
Daigerin. They only got, I like how they, like at first it just starts out as Team Gurren, and then once they leveled up and they actually took, what did they take from the freaking general? Yes, now we have the Spiral King. Spiral King has 4 generals.
So they took
was the first one.
They took
Daigunzan. That was it.
Daigunzan. There you go.
From Tibble. Tibble was a menace.
He was an absolute menace to society. It's just the way this anime freaking ramps up in power so quickly because I mean, think about it. When we first started off, up to the point of the first time skip, Simon was just a digger. He was just a digger. Then we fought 1 gunman, then 2 gunmen.
Right? Then you fought fought a gunman with 16 faces.
And then we fought before that, we fought Viro. Like we met our first
we got to meet Viro
and his gunman. And that's when we became Gurren Lagann, because first it was just Lagann.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was Gurren, and now Gurren Lagann.
Yep. And then I love the whole interaction of we're gonna combine, they're gonna combine, honey, please.
Honey, please. Ron is the voice of reason, and I freaking love him, man. He said, this is a mystery, much like how it's a mystery if I'm a man or a woman. I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
I think one of the funniest things that had happened when they combined to make, Gurren Lagann is that it's when they fight the gunman with 16 faces.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because they wait until Gurren Lagann is formed, and then you hear one of the faces go, "Oh my gosh, that was so freaking cool!" And I'm like, "Wait, why did you wait?"
Oh my god!
I'm like, the entire time, I'm like, oh, the 16 faces are, gonna be like throwing out barrage of attacks and everything. No, they're just standing there, just watching. I'm like, why?
You're like, whoa. Like, can we just, so also, you know what, before we continue on, I know I was going to wait off to say this after, but can we just talk about episode 4 and how things kind of dipped in quality? So you know what, before this, I have to say, when it comes to the animation and what they were able to pull off back then, like I said, there are some actual, like, yes, you can tell this was an early 2000s, not early, like late 2000s anime with some of the repeating or the reuse of previous animations and stuff
Yeah.
like that, or some weird camera angles or camera movements.
Yeah.
Like the fight with Viral and Simon and Kamina, they're all talking and Viral's talking about the capital. Like the way the camera rotates, like it was very awkward.
Yeah, because
But
like it was that like I'm gonna see my piece real quick for
yeah.
that whole part. That was interesting though, because when Vero starts talking, he goes the capital, the civilization, the Spiral King. So he's throwing out names that we can know nothing about.
Yeah.
I like how Simon was the first one to say Spiral King.
Yes.
The only thing I heard was civilization.
Yeah, that's all he heard.
But I'm like, as soon as Simon said Spiral King, I was like, oh, we in for who the heck is that? I want to know who that guy is.
And then we soon learn about that guy.
Right.
But like I said, I mean, you could tell some of the animation was poor in some areas, but it was still consistent, except for episode freaking 4.
That's when we get to meet Keaton and the black siblings.
Yes, but I'm gonna give a little lesson in animation. So in animation, especially hand-drawn animation, it's very important to stay on model. Now, what does that mean? That does sound like a 3D animation type term when we stay on model. What does that mean? You have to make sure the character looks consistent. You have to make sure like the angles, it still looks like the same character. If the character is looking to the right, when he looks to the left, you have to say, yes, that's still the same character. There is a lot of practice and stuff like that that goes into ensuring that you are able to stay on model. In cartoons, you can get off model for cartoony effects. So think of Looney Tunes when like Bugs Bunny goes to run off and you see a stretching effect happens. It's expected and stuff like that. In anime, from what I can tell, staying on model, like there's not a lot of stretching, or if it is, it's very light stretching. Or if you go off model, it's only for like a scene, where if a character is super detailed in one scene, but the next scene, let's say they're in chibi form, it's for like a comedic effect. There are reasons why you would go off model. Now, episode 4, I could tell was completely, characters looked similar. The whole episode, they were off model. Now, why is that? So they actually brought on a guest director for that particular scene. His name is Osamu Kobayashi, and he was mainly known for Beck, Mongolian Chop Squad, Paradise Kiss, episode 15 of Dororo.
Okay.
I guess he had a team, because from what I could tell and from what some other people said, Gainax Studio back then had an issue of making sure that they had a budget or staying on budget. So they sourced out this from what was told, they sourced out this episode to be done by somebody else to save money for the later episodes, specifically the last episode's post time skip when we're fighting against Anti-Spiral and stuff like that. So, it makes sense, but it is very jarring. And I have to say, it made episode 4 a little bit harder for me to watch. So my introduction to the black sibling.
Still funny. I still find that funny.
know, it's so funny to me. But the introduction to the black siblings was jarring to me because of how different. Like, when I first saw Kamina, I was like, that's not Kami. But it was. It's supposed to be Kamina. And Simon, all of them.
Like when you looked at Simon, like when I looked at it, I see what you're talking about now, how it was a little bit jarring, because when you see Simon from episode 3, you're like, that's Simon. Then you go into episode 4 and Simon's whole appearance looks a little bit different.
Yes.
And you're like, are you sure that's Simon?
And the the faces were weird.
Yeah.
The facial expressions that they made did not feel like the characters. It was just an all around weird thing to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. That's an artifact from older animation studios and how they used to run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not to say that we still don't have bad animation at times. I mean, heck, look at the opening episode to I think it was season 2 of My Hero Academia, right before they go off to boot camp.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the bad animation faces we got when they were jumping into that pool. Freaking Todoroki looked like he stepped on a snail. Like he looked weird. Oh, the facial expressions were off. But you see, those were moments. Those were moments of bad animation. Or let's talk about the freaking slideshow that we got in season 4 of My Hero Academia, where we supposed to have an epic fight battle. We just got a slideshow.
Right? You're telling me.
I know we've already moved past this. We spoke about it in a past episode, but I mean, those are moments.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't an entire episode,
right?
And it's just off to me. But enough about that. Enough, because I'll talk more about the animation later. Mm-hmm. But you can definitely tell that this is a Studio Trigger, well, Studio Gainax / Studio Trigger specialty.
Yeah.
Sorry. So continuing on, I'm moving past the episode 4 awkwardness for right now.
Yeah.
So, like I said, ramping up in difficulty, or you know what? Even after Kamina's death, we get introduced to more characters that builds up Daiguren. Mm-hmm. So Nia, we find out more about our enemy. So Spiral King, from what we've been told, or what we are then told after Nia comes to us and she gets kidnapped, and there's all this debacle with the armadillo guy. I can't remember his name. Guam. Like, we are told that the Spiral King is basically immortal. And
the fact that he discards the things that he does not like.
Yeah, if he loses interest, then he's just going to discard it.
Yeah, and like with Nia, for instance, he saw Nia as a doll.
Because what he said before was like, raising children is a pastime. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? You just raise things just because? Like, that's a really weird way to put it.
And the thing is, like, you also got to remember, when we see Spiral King, when we see Lord Genome,
like when we first meet him, he's surrounded by women. Like, we can tell that he just cares about things that interest him. It's crazy to me how we can meet such a selfless man. But then we hear what he says at the fight of Teplin.
Mm-hmm.
Templeton.
Teplin. I got you. Teplin.
Thanks, bud.
No problem.
Like
he got biblical. I will let you know that now. Lord Genome got biblical.
He did. He said, all that I'm doing is to save humanity. Mm-hmm. Because once this world, because the thing is, the way he said it was, once this world is populated by 1 million apes, the threat that is on the moon is much greater than what I could do to you now. Mm-hmm. He says, you are stepping out of line. I'm here to preserve humanity. You're here to destroy it.
The moment like you hit 1 million, that's the minute, that's the moment you messed up.
Like, that's scary to me. Because like up to this point, this was just on the world. Like, this was very world based. This wasn't, the one thing I'd say about this anime is that along with the ramping up of difficulties, we are then brought to goals that are outside of our goals are never like within reach. Like, once we reach that goal, we reach for something further. Mm-hmm. Because, at first it was just, we need to get out of the village. We need to get out from underground. Then we get out of underground. Okay, now we need to start fighting the gunmen. Okay. Oh, we need to take a gunman ship. All right, we got that. But we're not settling. We keep going. And most of the time, that would feel a little bit overwhelming to me. But when it comes to this anime in particular, that was perfect.
Yeah, because like the one thing that you can kind of get from it is that you shouldn't just aim for one thing. You need to aim higher than that one.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing somebody talk about this once where it's just like they never settle.
Yeah.
And that's great. It shows that they want to continue to move forward and learn and continue. Like that's awesome. Don't settle for what you've gotten. Go reach higher.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
it's so awe-inspiring every time I think about it, and I ain't even done yet.
And you know, this is just a freaking pre-time skip.
Yeah.
Post-time skip gets even more epic. I'm just sorry. I'm just so giddity because I'm just thinking about the future. Because after like pre-time skip, it's all kids.
Whoa. Hold up.
What?
We need to end off.
What? No.
Yes.
No.
What you mean? No. We need to end off.
Wesley, there's only 9 episodes left after this. We're not counting the compilation episode. There's only 9 episodes left.
Why would you still add the 9 episodes later?
You know what? No. Screw it. You know what? No, Wesley. We're not doing that. We aren't stopping.
What?
You know what, Wesley? That's it. I think it's time for me to pull off my ultimate move.
What are you doing?
Wesley, you're giving me no choice.
I don't like where this is
going. We're continuing this.
No.
We're not ending here.
No, we said we're going to end.
Wes, it's time for me to pull off my ultimate move.
Oh, no. What are you doing?